billions of human beings actually live on our wondrous earth. Infinity has given every one of them a very powerful tool, a tool that in almost all cases has been undervalued, or in the worst hypothesis, not understood at all. A tool that allowed and allows human beings to create, more or less consciously, everything they desire. The mind. A very powerful tool, so powerful to require attention and consciousness in its use. Because as it can be used to create beautiful and harmony masterpieces, it can be used to create disharmony and suffering monsters as well. The mind of human beings, our mind, is an extraordinary powerful tool, but very simple in its base functioning. Nevertheless, its enormous power, added to the simplicity of its management and unconsciousness of its potential, can give form and even feed something that is not in our plans. Something that instead of sustaining, steals us energy. Something that in this very moment has under its control the greater part of the human beings living on a planet. The apparently normal state of the mind of human beings' majority, at the end of their education process transmitted by their predecessors, intended as a snapshot of its activity in any given moment, is this.
Hey, die Würstchen sind fertig. Würstchen. Oh Gott.
Nee, die zwei da noch.
Warte nicht.
Ich glaube, das war
Meine.
Practically every one of us, in any of our differences concerning countries, gender, age, culture, is sharing this characteristic. Everyone. Its intensity can vary depending on some cultural factor, as the education received or the ethical values of the society in which we are born. In fact, there are some cultures and societies that do not develop these characteristics automatically. Furthermore, it can be more or less accentuated based on personal characteristics. But after a certain moment, typically in the first childhood, the so-called human being normal mental activity becomes this.
Hey, die Würstchen sind fertig. Würstchen. Oh Gott. Würstchen.
Nee, die zwei da noch.
Warte nicht.
Ich glaube, das war
Meine.
This is the so-called normal state of the human being's mind, because shared between billions of people, thus considered normal. Is it possible to think lucidly in the middle of this chaos? Is it possible being able to see things with attention and clearness if inside we are in this mental state? Would you be able to listen with attention to something or someone if in the external reality you were in a place with a constant environmental noise like that?
Ja, dann nimm das einfach.
Ey, die Würstchen sind fertig.
Isn't strange this confusion is fluttering in the mind of almost all human beings on this earth? Here is the first footprint on the shores of consciousness of something elusive and evasive, which acts indiscriminately on every human being in the same way. Mess. Inability to concentrate. Inconstancy. Normal? Of course there is another side to the coin. There are human beings on this wondrous earth whose natural state of the mind is this. A huge space in which they perceive and celebrate in peace and joy everything that is, which allows them to think clearly, see clearly, listen carefully, and then create wonderful creations of beauty and vibrant harmony. This happens because they have defeated something in them that did not allow them to be who they really are. How have they achieved this result? Why they wanted it? What prevented them from reaching it? The second elusive footprint on the shores of consciousness is a simple assessment. Can you stop at your wish this incessant and useless mental activity that is constantly populating your mind?
Ja, dann nimm das einfach.
Ey, die Würstchen sind fertig. Chrissy! Oh Gott.
You are not able to stop this unnecessary meal of the mind, if not for 2 or 3 seconds, without a discreet effort. Naturally, you might think it is a normal fact, and the funny thing is that you think it really. The mind that articulates thoughts through one of its thoughts is thinking that it cannot be interrupted in its useless meal, and how could it be otherwise? Can the mind think about not thinking? However, this simple test puts you in front of a series of indisputable facts. First, your mind is not under your control, because if it were, you would be able to stop the useless mental activity whenever you want and for as long as you want, not for just 2 or 3 seconds. Second, you try to interrupt your mental activity without success. Therefore, it follows that something within you tried to stop the mental activity as well inside you, managing it for a while. So, this something has been able to observe and drive a phenomenon that is beyond the thinking mind. And if it's so, this something in you is not your mind that articulates thoughts. Or better, this something in you is not the mind that articulates confused, unnecessary, unstoppable thoughts. But if there is something in you that is not the mind that thinks this kind of thoughts, then who are you? And why your thinking mind is out of control? If your thinking mind is out of control and you are not this mind, where are your actions originating from?